Good morning, Florida lacrosse fans. Welcome to another Wednesday, another hump day, April 20th. Lee Roggenberg, Florida Lacrosse News, saying welcome to the broadcast. Let's take our sip. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the channel. Encourage others to do so. Like the videos if you do. It only helps as we continue to grow the channel, as YouTube is watching, big brother. Okay. Let's start with last night's girls round one in the 1A. As you might expect, there were not a lot of close games in the first round. When you have this many, this much differential in power rankings between the two teams, you're not going to get an awful lot of close games. And that's not really just us. I've had a couple of people who have talked to me recently about, well, why do we having so many teams in? There's going to be some blowouts, and it's not really competitive enough to go that deep. And my answer to that is, so what? You got to start somewhere. You have to encourage programs. And one of the ways you lower a barrier to entry is you show a lot of teams making a bracket. That's just marketing 101. Get people involved and wanting to stay involved, and therefore getting people who are interested in getting better as their programs. And to prove this point, I went out and I took a look at, this is the printouts of all of the classes, boys and girls, from the 2019 New York State High School Championship brackets, which was the last time they played. I think they're back to a normal schedule this year, but 20 and 21 were not played with their COVID restrictions. I just want to let you know, this is the boys Class A. This is the big schools, the big boys in New York State. Their regional finals, which we would call our state quarterfinals in the past also, 5-1, 12-4, 10-4, 10-5. Not a single game came down to the stretch. Class B, semifinals, 8-4, 9-7, 20-4, 16-3. Class C, there were two games, 17-3 and 18-3. In the semifinals, it was 18-4 and 13-6. And in Class D, 14-1, 16-6, 10-3, and 10-3 and 13-6 in the semifinals. In other words, the state that so many of us came down from, and we think about how great the lacrosse was, they have the same issue. We do. There are plenty of blowouts in games that you would think should be competitive. And so I want everyone to sort of, when they hear the scores, keep this in perspective. We are not bad at lacrosse. And, for those who say, oh, well, we're not this and we're not that, which we aren't yet, because our top teams still struggle with their top teams in New York and Maryland. The point is, though, that if all you're going to do is sit there and say, oh, we've got to be elitist about our attitude and only have a certain number of teams that make it, that's not how it works. And it doesn't work in New York any better either. And by the way, if there was a state title in Maryland where the MIAA actually participated with the public schools, believe me, you'd have just as many blowouts in that state championship too. Okay. Soapbox over. Region 1 in 1A last night. Episcopal shutting out Seacoast Collegiate 19-0. Oak Hall knocking off Gulf Breeze 15-7. I was checking in on that game. It was 10-7. Gulf Breeze had made a bit of a run the second half, and then Oak Hall pulled away for the easier win. St. Augustine knocking off Bowles 19-5. And Pensacola Catholic knocking off Menendez 15-5. And if I'm not mistaken, that is the first time a Panhandle team has, boys or girls, has won a game against a non-Panhandle team in a bracket. And if that's true, congratulations, Pensacola Catholic, and congratulations that we're starting to see better out of the Panhandle. In Region 2, Lake Highland Prep knocking off First Academy 17-1. Sun Lake lost 18-2 to Bishop Moore. Satellite beat Lake Wales 19-5. And Lake Mineola lost 9-6 to Edgewood. So the weaker districts, certainly even the district winners went down last night in that region. And kind of predictable, although I'm glad to see Lake Mineola actually played one of the closest games of the night. So, this is one where I think FHSAA has got to kind of start to tinker and think through a little bit about at least using, maybe take an outside rating agency and weight it at 10%. That would be a good way to sort of smooth out some of this. You're getting a second opinion. You're going to be able to sort of weed out a little bit some of the teams that you've really overranked. It'll sort of be a good check on you. And it would only help next year, because maybe we could pair things a little bit differently too. Region 3, Out of Door beat Barron Collier 18-5. St. Stephen's with the 11-6 win over Berkeley. Community School falling badly again to Naples. Naples is clearly one of the best teams in the state. And Holy Names with a huge second half. I believe they were down 8-6 at halftime and ended up turning this around. It was, I think it was a 12-12 tie with about 13 minutes left in the game. And then Holy Names went on quite a run, finishing the game 8-1 in those last 13 minutes. It might have been 9 minutes. Either way, Holy Names have an absolutely terrific second half to take down St. Petersburg Catholic. In Region 4, American Heritage Del Rey beats Calvary Christian 23-7. South Fork knocks off Key West 8-6. Congrats to them. Obviously, if you listen to the broadcast, we've been talking about that travel. Some of the teams have travel issues, and South Fork really handled this well. This was I think it was a one-goal game late also. So, Key West certainly performed well too. This was probably the best game of the first round, and glad to see both teams, playing well in that one. Pinecrest knocked off American Heritage Plantation 16-6, making the regular season game a little bit more realistic than the district playoff was. And Benjamin 20-1 over Kings Academy. And again, if FHSAA needs to figure this one out a little bit too. This was number 5 versus number 10. Kings Academy getting a number 10 rating and losing 20-1 in the first round. You got to take a look at how this is working out. That just shouldn't happen. Okay. Before we get to the boys' schedule tonight, there's a couple of brief things on the college scene. St. Leo men knocked off Palm Beach Atlantic 12-9 yesterday. Justin Williams, 4 goals for St. Leo. Story of the game, St. Leo's goalie, Evan Hawk, had 23 saves last night in the win. And Austin Evans with 3 goals and 1 assist for Palm Beach Atlantic. Stetson women, finally in the win column, 19-3 over Delaware State. Sagelyn Gudzinski, 1 goal and 3 assists. And 3 other players with 3 goals each for Stetson. On Monday, I missed this one. The Jacksonville women shut out Delaware State too. On the men's side today, Embry-Riddle is playing Tampa. But a huge, this is really getting interesting. Those of you who followed, there's the Sunshine State Conference on both the men's and the women's side are getting real close when it comes to determining the 4 teams that make their playoffs. And there's only been a couple of teams eliminated so far. On the women's side in particular, there's 5 teams vying for the 4 spots, and all 5 are ranked between 10 and 17 in the latest IWLCA poll. Embry-Riddle is playing Tampa. Florida Southern's playing Florida Tech. Palm Beach Atlantic plays Lynn. Rollins plays St. Leo. All these games are going to have implications for that 4 seeds out of 5. Embry-Riddle's Elizabeth Ninesling was named to the IWLCA National Defensive Player of the Week for Division II. Congratulations, Elizabeth. Also picked up, I noted that Lake Island Prep alum Olivia Adamson, 2 straight hat tricks for Syracuse. Last 2 games versus Albany and Louisville. When the high school season slows down, I'll be certain to get back and try to find as many of the Florida kids in college that we can find and highlight what they've done this year. It's been a great bit for them. Okay, on to the boys. Boys 1A gets underway tonight. Bowles and Providence up north, number 1 versus number 8 in Region 1. I don't expect much trouble for Bowles in that one. Oak Hall at number 2 hosting South Walton. I don't expect too much of a trouble for them there either. Gulf Breeze is hosting Maclay. That's the most interesting first round matchup. They played a 1-goal game back in February at Maclay. Maclay's injury is well known. Gulf Breeze looking to, I believe they won last year, but it was 2 handhandle teams playing. So this is their chance for Gulf Breeze also to knock off a perennial strong program. They both played Pensacola Catholic. Gulf Breeze won both games comfortably. Maclay on February 26th won 14-11. They both played West Florida. Both blew them out. And I just got a feeling that given this, that Gulf Breeze is going to find a way to win this game. And, I could be wrong, but it would be a great accomplishment for them, even against the depleted Maclay squad. Then we have Episcopal School, the 5th seed, going to Menendez, the 4th seed. This will be, in all likelihood, an Episcopal School win. And, Menendez winning their district. And, congrats to them for making the brackets, but I see Episcopal School in this one. Region 2, the number 1 seed Benjamin hosting number 8 Jensen Beach. Expect an easy win for Benjamin. Holy Trinity hosting Bishop Moore. Again, to me, one of the two of the really intriguing first round matchups. This is the newcomer versus the established program. Let's not forget Bishop Moore was a state finalist in the 1-class system back in 2018. This is not a program that you overlook at times. It should be close. Bishop Moore had won 8 straight games before Lake Island knocked them off in the semifinals of the district. Holy Trinity is 16-1, and they've run the table since an early season loss to Martin County. Bishop Moore had the tougher schedule. They have 2 common opponents. Oviedo, Bishop Moore beat them 12-8 back in March on the road. And later in March, Holy Trinity also beat Oviedo 9-8 on the road. At Timber Creek, Bishop Moore actually lost to them on February 21st in overtime at home. And Holy Trinity knocked off Timber Creek at home 13-8. So there's not a lot to look at there. I expect this to be a close game. I believe Brevard Sports Network is broadcasting this live. And I'm certainly going to be paying attention to this one on one of the screens. Certainly believe there should be a pretty big crowd for that game. Bishop Moore travels well, and Holy Trinity, having this type of game at home, I think will draw big time. Number 3, Lake Highland Prep is hosting number 6 Montverde. Also expect this one to be a heck of a game. Each team has swapped 5-goal wins at each other's field. So if that pairing continues, Montverde will win by 5 tonight, but obviously you can throw those games out the window. would just sit back and watch it. There's really not an awful lot to pick between the two of them. Windermere Prep, number 4, hosting number 5, St. Edwards. That will be, in all likelihood, an easy win for St. Edwards. Okay. Region 3, we have number 1, Jesuit, hosting Cypress Creek. That will be an easy win. Number 2, Community School will be hosting number 7, Bishop Verot. Community School is red hot. Since March, on March 29th, in the 10 days, they knocked off Gulf Coast 9-6. Then they came back on April 2nd, knocked off Berlin 9-3. Go over to American Heritage Plantation on 2 days later and win on the road. And then they knock off Riverview Sarasota 2 days later, 16-6. That's just a terrific way to come into a playoff season. They did play back in early March, 19-14 Community School. Bishop Verot, when you look at the schedule, nice record, but I didn't really see a signature win. Of the 3 losses, and remember, I don't count IMG games, the 3 losses for Community School, 1 goal to Cardinal Mooney, 1 goal to Canterbury. Then they had a bad loss, or second game of the season to St. Thomas. So I expect Community School to continue to on their winning ways and win tonight. Cardinal Mooney will be playing St. Stephen's. Cardinal Mooney knocked them off 18-7 in the districts last week. Hard to see the turnaround on that one. Cardinal Mooney coming with a higher strength of schedule by far. And then Osceola and Canterbury. Basically, Canterbury is a little higher ranked. They have a better strength of schedule. The one thing that I found interesting with Osceola was their better efforts seemed to be against the better teams. A good loss, the win over Berkeley in triple overtime. And so, I could see them keeping this close, but I think that Canterbury will pull this game out. Region 4 in 1A, we have number 1 St. Andrews hosting number 8 Westminster Christian. I don't see that as much of a game. Number 2 Oxbridge will be hosting number 7 St. John Paul. That'll be their 3rd game of the year. Oxbridge knocked them off 11-4 in the district final. It's going to take a lot for St. John Paul to turn that one around. Number 3 Berlin hosting number 6 Heritage Plantation. I think this is the most interesting matchup in the region. American Heritage won on April 8th at home, 8-6. Now they've got to go down and play at Berlin. Both struggled down the stretch. Both had 3 losses, I believe, in 6 games to end the season, 6 or 7 games. And I expect a tight game. But it'll be interesting to see if Berlin's home field ends up carrying the day for them and knocking off. But either way, I expect a very tight game. And then we have number 4 Gulliver hosting number 5 Pinecrest. It'll be a little bit earlier today. Gulliver does not have lights. Pinecrest on paper is clearly the better team. Gulliver has been very inconsistent all year, and I expect Pinecrest to win this one and move on. Okay, we'll be up today also with quick takes on the girls 2A. If you get out to a game tonight, hashtag #TAFTag. Take a friend to a game. Lay off the refs. Enjoy the game that you're at. Grow the game. Respect the game. Honor the game. Okay, again, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Like the video, please. This is Lee Roggenberg, Florida Lacrosse News, saying so long from the Sunshine State.